and understand. Try to place your palms on your knees, gently close your eyes, spine erect. Relax yourself by focusing at the tip of the nose on your breaths. Slow inhalation, deep exhalation. Inhale and exhale. When you're completely one with the breaths, with the thoughts in your mind reduced, let's start with the chanting of Om and try to integrate yourself with the universe, with the infinite limits. Inhale deep. Inhale. Last one more time. Absorb the silence of pranam. Gently folding your palms. The smile on your face will start with the chanting to Lord Patanjali. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya chovaidapena yopakarotam pravaram munina patanjalim pranjali pranatosmi. Slowly and gently rub your palms. Place your warm palms on your eyes. Gently open your eyes, bend your closed palms. Put your warm palms down and relax. Namaste. So we'll start the session. Before we start, we actually thank all our teachers, the team of the Department of Swastrutta for arranging this wonderful session, these kind of activities, which are really helping our Ayurveda students to be more familiar with the idea and the concepts of yoga, integrating them in their own personal life and helping them to grow their practice of Ayurveda and different components with the system sciences of yoga. So with this, the topic that we have is yoga for stress, and so stress management is the key that we are going to understand today. And definitely sleep related problems, insomnia, they are on rise. Yeah, WHO has stated in the couple of years back, it was the slogan that they had given that sitting is the new smoking. Because of our sedentary lifestyles and everything, our sleep patterns are also disturbed, and because of which we are getting into a vicious cycle of lifestyle imbalances, creating many diseases. So today, let's understand how this stress is created, how sleeping patterns are being disturbed, and which aspects of yoga can be helpful in understanding and having some kind of relief in these aspects. So to start with, before going with some complicated definitions and understanding the mechanisms and pathway, let's understand in a more subjective way before an objective one. So for example, if I have a small bottle, maybe it's a 500 ml, half liter kind of a bottle that I have in my hand. So if the question is asked to me, like, if I hold the bottle, what do you feel the weight of the bottle is. And if I know it is 500 gram, okay, half liter of the bottle, then I will say, okay, yeah, I can hold this particular bottle. But if I'm asked to hold this particular bottle, say for 5 minutes, so what happens is suddenly I feel that the bottle is getting a little heavier. I find a little bit of pain in my hands. Maybe if you extend and increase the duration of this particular study and you make me hold this particular bottle in my hand, maybe for a day, 24 hours. So what will happen is the stress will even increase. My hand will get swollen. It will get almost like numb. And I will feel as if I'm not holding half a liter of a bottle, but maybe I might feel that I am having a bottle which is more than a ton or something like that. Yeah, whole of the world is in my hand and I have to lift it up. So do you really think that the weight of the bottle is going to increase even if I hold it for 10 minutes or 24 hours? The answer is no. Ideally, objectively, the weight is going to be just half a liter, the same. But then why do I feel that the weight of the bottle is increasing? Yeah. So that is something what we can understand is stress. Yeah. And what is stress management? That's the simple key. Every person has different ability threshold to hold this bottle. It will depend on his capacity, how energetic he is, how motivated he is, what kind of exercise habits he has, what kind of nutrition, dietary habits he has. So that everything will determine, different factors will determine how long a person will hold this bottle. Okay, that's the reason. First important thing is do not compare yourself. Okay, somebody can do something, why can't you do it? Don't try to compare, because that is one of the important reasons why stress is created. And the second thing, it's quite logical. If I want to get rid of the pain of holding this bottle, what is the most simple thing that is recommended? Simple, I keep the bottle down. Yeah. And this activity of keeping the bottle down is something which is called as stress management. And it's as simple as that. Unfortunately, the thing is that there are many people around us who feel they are carrying this bottle, they are carrying the world on their head, and they still don't want to keep it down, because somewhere their ego is getting hurt. Somewhere in the world of competition, comparison, judgmental attitude, they feel that um, that will make the world see them with some kind of failure attitude. Okay. So there are many obstacles in our minds. There are many pathways that actually block us from keeping this bottle down. We will understand that in yoga, and how getting rid of these kind of silos, these kind of blockages can help people around you, your patients, to have a stress-free lifestyle. And definitely that is going to help in improving the quality of sleep, in the kind of health they are going to achieve. All this is a byproduct of that. So let's start with the first aspect, that is stress. So today we have divided this session into two parts. Maybe sometimes what happens is too much of theory, and there's something called a Zoom fatigue. So that's also something which creates stress. A lot of technical words, all these things also create stress. Yeah. So maybe we might keep this session today a little light by experiencing what are the practices that you can do. So initially we will have some theory part, and then we will have some of the practices which can be useful in your day-to-day life. So the technical definition of stress is it's a non-specific conventional phylogenetic response pattern to change. In simple words, whenever things around you change, then some people find it easy to adapt. Some people find it challenging. Yeah. But the ones who are easy and early to adapt, who are the early beginners, they are the ones who succeed. Like for example, when this COVID started, a lot of people felt that in 5 days, 15 days of lockdown, things will be all right. Things will back. And therefore some people were like, okay, maybe tomorrow will be better. There are some people who waited for a few months and then they celebrated 31st of December, hoping that 2021 will be better. But the thing is that nothing is getting better. Okay. And so those people who just sat and expected that things will be all right, they are the ones who have lost. And those who adapted themselves for the change, they are the ones who are still sustaining and doing sometimes even better. And that's what is, there's a small story which can help you understand what I'm trying to say. Yeah, what is stress? And a scientist did an experiment where he took two frogs and he took two vessels. Okay. In the first experiment, what he did is he had a vessel with boiling water and he added a frog into that boiling water. Immediately, the frog jumped out of the boiling water from the pan, and then he came out. In the second experiment, he modified a little bit of things. What he did is he kept a frog in tap cold water. The frog initially was very happy. He was enjoying, he was swimming in the pan. Okay. Then afterwards, he did a modification. He started the experiment by putting the pan on fire. So 5 minutes after putting it on gas, the pot started heating up. So the water became a little warm. So in fact, the frog was still enjoying with the warm water. So instead of the cold water, the water was now completely warm and he was feeling very cozy. But after 10 minutes, what happened is the same warm water made him uncomfortable. He felt like he didn't like this kind of excess amount of warmth. So he felt like jumping out. That's exactly what the situation global warming is all about. We are in the stage of that frog where the frog is feeling that kind of problems. So the frog started feeling uncomfortable with the rise in temperature. But after 20 minutes, what happened is the water started boiling. And now the frog wanted to jump out of the pan. But because he was so exhausted, he couldn't jump out. And after that, because of the boiling water, the frog died. So what can we learn from the experiment is again what I was trying to say. What is stress management? Stress management is like being the first frog, not like the second. Those people who are not able to adapt themselves are the ones most probably lose the race of life. And that's what is the key. Most people, even when they are having some kind of ailments, diseases, like we saw yesterday, hypertension, because there are no symptoms, most of the time people take it lightly, they ignore it, yeah, and they keep turning a blind eye to your advice. And then one day, these people call you in emergency, they'll end up in ICUs, they have some stroke, paralysis, and all these kind of complications. So it's very important that you find that changes are happening in your environment. You are expected to adapt for themselves, but those who are very lethargic in yoga, there are three gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas. So those who are rajasic and tamasic, either they react too fast, and that is called as hypersensitivity reactions. That is also a problem which creates many diseases. The same is a problem which creates in personality. And those who are very dull and very lethargic, having a lot of tamas, these are the ones like the second frog, who just feel, okay, something has to be done, but they never do it. And these are the ones who have to face the consequences. So the whole of the idea of stress management in yoga is transforming yourself, your mind, from rajas and tamas qualities to a sattvic state. How to do it and everything we would be seeing in the subsequent sessions. Again, when we try to understand stress, is it that the stress is only bad? Yeah. Like for example, the images that you find over here, whenever like few years back, when you used to have this kind of 2G network, having this buffering time, to download one song, you used to take 2-3 hours together. So that is what created stress. And even today, this kind of images when you see on your mobile screens, yeah, that's something you want to do some emergency work, you are outside and suddenly the battery is very low. And that creates also something very unusual inside you. And that is what is called as stress. Now this, when you have these kind of situations, you feel frustrated, you feel angry, there are mood disturbances because you have to adapt for these kind of unpredictable situations. And that is which is called as distress, where you have some mental, physical changes inside you which are not good for your long-term health. But does that mean the stress is only bad? The answer is again no. There is some kind of stress that can be motivating and that can be useful for you. For example, most of the time, your teachers, this one kind of give you different kind of assignments. Sometimes they make you come for Zoom sessions and all these kind of things. Maybe initially we won't like it. It might create some kind of discomfort. They call it a Zoom fatigue. So such things might happen. In fact, that is what is given in yoga. There is a text called as Gheranda Samhita in yoga that describes that what is yoga. For all those people who feel that yoga is shavasana, yoga is yoga nidra, yoga is all about meditation, closing your eyes and doing nothing. So that's not only yoga. Yoga is what in Gheranda Samhita is called as the process of ghatastha, making of a pot, ghata. So what is that? If you have seen a potter, when he makes the pot of clay, they're very soft. So if you add water, okay, they will just melt away and they cannot carry any kind of water or anything. So they're not very much useful. And that is what the state of us is. We all are of that particular state, unbaked pots. So what does the potter do is, the potter keeps it under the sun, so it gets sun-baked, or sometimes he puts it into the fire. भट्टीमध्ये त्या मटक्यांना टाकून त्याला पक्क केलं जातं. आता भट्टीमध्ये जेव्हा आपण कुणाला टाकतो तेव्हा त्याला छान वाटणार का वाव कोझी, असं काही फिलिंग नसते. So whenever you are put under fire, that's what your feeling is, no? If this kind of session continues for an hour or so, at the end of the hour, what will happen is you will feel the heat of the session. Okay, you will feel your brain will stop working, functioning, and that is what we see initially whenever we have our sessions. Yeah, most of the time the videos are on. Then slowly everybody starts keeping the videos off, and then audio is also off, and then there is no one behind the screens. Okay, so that's what happens. That's the fire. Is that good? Yes, it is good. That is what yoga is all about. It is the fire that is going to make you, that is going to forge you and make you strong. And this kind of strength, what you get after practicing yoga, makes your body immune for diseases, makes your mind immune for the kind of ups and downs of life, and makes your emotions and your consciousness stable so that in every situation of life, you're calm, balanced. And once you are able to understand and experience these things, then the rest of the things, okay, whether you have the cardiac diseases, whether you have gynecological PCODs, whether you have orthopedic problems, back pain, or whether you have digestive problems like IBS, whether you have cancer and all these things, it's just different names, because underlying thing, which is pathology, which is common in all of these things, is something which nowadays in modern science we call it stress. And in other words, it could be in the yogic philosophy, it could be considered as kleshas. So anyways, it's the practices of yoga that help you how to be balanced in these different ups and downs of life. So taking our journey ahead, let's understand what are the different symptoms of stress. So what are the different symptoms? It's not only that stress. Why? And first important thing is why to understand somebody is in stress. Because the problem in our society is that if you have diabetes, if you have any kind of joint pain, arthritis, you immediately run to a doctor. That's what the patients do understand. That yeah, sooner that you get the treatment, it's better. Yeah, if you have something like cancer and all these things, they are even more sincere and dedicated. But the problem is that if you have some kind of mental illness, mental problem, then most of the time it's ignored. Most of the time there is stigma associated. The way people are very open, मला diabetes झालाय, they don't feel offended. पण मला डिप्रेशन झालंय, मी डिप्रेशनची औषधं घेतोय, असं सांगायला सगळ्यांना खूप कसं तरी वाटतं. Okay, most of the time, because it is not looked well in the society. So I think these are the different aspects which we have to understand, and we have to see to it that we can create a kind of change through education. By educating the patients, their relatives, society, we can definitely reduce the intensity of this problem, because unless and until you create awareness, these problems won't be diagnosed. Unless and until they are diagnosed, there won't be any kind of acceptance and management for it. So mental health issues should not be ignored. Another problem that happens with the mental health issues is that people say, what's the big deal? Like they try to compare each other. Your stress is far less than ours. आमच्या काळामध्ये इतके प्रॉब्लेम असायचे, आम्ही इतकं असं करायचो. This is what a general kind of a thing is. Whether it's the parents who tell the students, parents who are telling the kids, or whether it's the teachers who are telling the students. It's always like आमच्या काळामध्ये असं होतं आणि तुम्ही तर खूप लकी आहात, तुम्ही तर फक्त असत म्हणजे तुम्हाला काही स्ट्रेस नाही आणि फक्त स्ट्रेस आमच्या काळामध्ये होता. So this kind of an attitude is also not good. किंवा it is vice versa also. Sometimes the kids say to the teachers like, तुम्हाला काय माहितीये, तुमच्या काळात काहीच कॉम्पिटिशन होते, आमच्या काळात आता बघा किती कॉम्पिटिशन आहे, किती स्ट्रगल करावं लागतं, तुम्हाला काय माहिती, घर घेणं किती अवघड आहे. So this is vice versa. You try to compare your stress with someone else's stress, and that is also not good, because everybody's capacity is different and every individual is different. And why am I saying this is because this kind of stress is also created in yoga centers also. There are some people who get stressed because the instructor is doing so good. There are some people who get stressed because their friend is doing far more better than him. So तिथे पण comparison. म्हणजे जिथे स्ट्रेस मॅनेजमेंट करायला आलेले आहेत लोक, शांत राहायला, आनंद घ्यायला आलेले, तिथं पण याचा आनंद माझ्यापेक्षा जास्त कसा आहे याचा स्ट्रेस घेऊन आनंद घालवतो. दॅट इज सम वियर्ड फॅक्ट ऑफ लाईफ. अँड the thing yoga, which is completely non-judgmental, there also by judging yourself, by comparing yourself, you get a lot of stress. So in this way, understanding stress is very important, and in different areas, different segments, this can be created, and this can not only affect you physically but also affect you in different aspects. Okay, म्हणजे बऱ्याच वेळा स्ट्रेस किती घातक असू शकतो हे एखाद्याने सुसाईड केल्यानंतरच लोकांना कळतं की काल तर चांगला होता, आम्ही बोललो तेव्हा तर चांगला बोलला, ओके, असं काही वाटलं पण नाही की त्याला असा काही त्रास असेल. सो दॅट्स हाऊ मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम first, we don't understand the symptoms of stress. And the second thing is, we feel that it's something which everybody has. Stress तर कुणाला नाहीये, सगळ्यांनाच आहे, मग त्यात काय विशेष. So ह्या ज्या काही आपला अप्रोच आहे, mostly this is an approach in the society which we as healthcare community and fraternity have to address at some or the other point. And the reason behind this is, it's a vicious cycle. Because whenever someone person is suffering from stress, what will happen is की त्याच्या लाईफस्टाईल कडे ज्या काही प्रायोरिटीज आहेत त्या एकदम खराब होतील. मग काही खायचं, कसंही झोपायचं, कधीही झोपायचं, केव्हाही उठायचं. And because of stress, yeah, that's what, no, you see, why do you smoke? Because I'm under stress. Why are you drinking alcohol? Because I've lost my job. Why are you anything, like for everything? I mean, because of the stress, people find some kind of resort in coffee, tea, alcohol, these kind of addictions. I mean, having them to a certain level is fine, but when you are not able to do your activities without them, it means it's kind of an addiction. And because of this, you have some negative impact on your health, and that creates all these kind of chronic diseases. Jari kaal apan heart disease bagitle, there are many factors. Stress is one underlying component. Whether you have cancer, that's component. Because of long-term stress, what happens is your insulin resistance develops. Pancreas pressure मध्ये असतात. It's like, imagine if you are never given a free time and constantly 24/7, the college makes you keep your video on audio on to all the Zoom sessions from morning 9 to evening 5 o'clock. It will be so horrible. Like, I cannot imagine this happening. So it's really very stressful. ज्या सेशन्सचा आनंद घ्यायचा आहे ते त्या सेशन्स मुळे तुम्हाला उद्या आजारी पडण्याची वेळ येईल. So this is how I think stress is a very vicious cycle, and once you have these kind of diseases, then again it creates stress of its own. म्हणजे कंबर दुखते, पाठ दुखते, you have undergone bypass and all these things. This also again creates new kind of stress. In this way, a person gets caught in the cycle. So understanding who is in stress is the key for the management, because the earlier you understand. म्हणजे बऱ्याच वेळा मेंटल हेल्थ रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लेम्स मध्ये असं सांगितलं जातं की जितक्या लोकांना मानसिक आजार आहेत, out of them 25% are the ones who have started this kind of these problems from the age of 12. 12 वर्ष म्हणजे लहानपणापासूनच हा आजार त्यांना चालू झालेला. Unfortunately, 25-30% of these people couldn't be diagnosed, and because they couldn't be diagnosed, they never got any kind of treatment, and that's the reason they have the problems which could have been avoided. Now they have turned into diseases which they need psychiatric treatments. Okay, so in this way, prevention is the key, and for that we need to understand what kind of symptoms do we find in patients. So whenever you have patients who have irritable bowel syndrome, म्हणजे ज्याला आपण ग्रहणी सारखे, कधी लूज मोशन्स होतात, कधी कॉन्स्टिपेशन होते, वेगवेगळ्या प्रकारचे अल्सर्स आहेत, ब्लड प्रेशरचा त्रास आहे, ॲझमॅटिक अटॅक्स, एक्झिमा, स्किन रिलेटेड प्रॉब्लेम्स आहेत, there's hair loss, there's premature infertility related problems or sexual related problems, premature ejaculation. That's a kind of an anxiety which creates this problem. 30% of the people with infertility problems have some kind of stress. Menstrual disorders like having PCOD or irregular menses, having hypothyroidism, premature aging, all these are some kind of problems which are associated directly or indirectly with stress. Cognitive is all your behavioral pattern. Emotions is the way you feel within yourself. चांगलं वाटतंय, बरं वाटतंय. Because I have seen some people always, whenever you, कधी म्हणजे during my UG PG days, I have seen there are some typical kind of people. Yeah, कधी परीक्षा कशी गेली रे, पेपर एकदम खराब होता, एकदम खराब. म्हणजे असं एकदम खराब म्हणणारे आणि त्यांना मार्क तर चांगले पडतात. ओके, आणि मार्क चांगले पडल्यावरती पण ते नाही रे, हे मार्क चांगले नाहीच. The same attitude goes even when they start their practice. प्रॅक्टिसला समजा 10 पेशंट आले, नाही रे पेशंटच नाहीये. अरे 10 पेशंट मग हे काय नाही, 10 नि काय होतं आजकाल, 100 पेशंट पाहिजे. 100 पेशंट आल्यावरती पण ते म्हणतात नाही रे, हे 100 पेशंट खूप झाले, मला तर टॉयलेटला जायला पण हे सोडत नाही लोक. हे कसले लोक आहेत. So when you didn't have patient, you wanted patient. When you have patient, you are crying, you don't have your personal time. So what exactly do you want from life? So they are confused kind of people. So हे अशा प्रकारचे काही लोक असतात की we have to be compassionate with them, but the problem is nobody guided them how to live their life. Ayurveda is all how to live your life, and Ayurvedic barese somewhere it's a very kind of a thing. We have to understand what exactly we want from life, and that's where the philosophy, whether it's Indian philosophy, yoga is a part of that, that teaches you, yes, you have to do your duties, but not at the cost of being unhappy and getting stressed. पेशंट बघायला पाहिजेत, पण ते सांभाळून, काय काय सांभाळून, घर सांभाळून, तुमचा आनंद सांभाळून, पैसे कमवून आणि हे सगळं करत असतात ना, तुम्ही स्वतःला कसं स्थिर ठेवताय, आध्यात्मिक स्वतःची प्रगती कशी करताय, हे सगळं सांभाळून जर तुम्ही पेशंट बघितले तर तुम्ही चांगले वैद्य. नाहीतर नुसतेच पेशंट बघताय आणि भरपूर पैसे आणताय, पेशंट बघताय, पैसे आणताय, पण त्याच्या पुढे काय करत नसेल तर मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम these people after a certain period of time develop stress and they might land up into some kind of complications. So it's not like only patients suffer from stress, insomnia, and this kind of depression, anxiety problems. With even healthcare fraternity, in fact, they say that from the compared to the average age, life expectancy of population in India, that is something compared to around, on an average around 60, the life expectancy of doctors is far more less than a decade. 10 वर्ष कमी doctors जगतात because they are too much under stress. So these kind of different aspects of stress make it important for us to look towards it very seriously. How can you understand apart from the physical things? If you find someone having memory, concentration related issues, office मध्ये आजकाल मन लागत नाहीये, कामात लक्ष लागत नाही, कामामध्ये भरपूर चुका होतात, कायम माणूस एखादा निगेटिव्ह बोलतोय, कायम झोपेच्या काय काय तक्रारी आहेत, एक तर झोपच लागत नाही किंवा झोप एकदा 2-3 वाजता झोप जागी झाली परत मग झोपच लागत नाही. सो ऑल दीज आर वॉट एव्हर कंप्लेंट्स यू गेट, दे आर नॉट जस्ट अबाउट स्लीप डिस्टर्बन्सेस or something or memory related issues or neurological problems. They have some kind of connection with stress. So don't ignore this component. And the last important thing is behavioral symptoms. That's maybe भूकच लागत नाही किंवा खूप भूक लागते म्हणजे, and then they have something called as anorexia, bulimia, अशा पण काही गोष्टी होतात. खूप जास्त खाऊन मग त्याला मग उलटी करून मग बारीक व्हायचे प्रयत्न करायचे. Social withdrawal, that's sometimes social withdrawal, if you do it voluntarily for developing your practice, it's good. That's being recommended in yoga. ज्याला आपण मौन म्हणू शकतो, शांत बसणे, एकाग्र करणे, चित्त एकाग्र करणे, meditation is. But if you are doing it because you are frustrated with life, then that can be a dangerous symptom. Nail biting, different kind of addictions, all this could be different cognitive and behavioral symptoms of stress. Okay. So after we understand stress, now we will understand how stress is being perceived through a yogic perspective. And when we are trying to understand stress and its correlation with yoga, don't try to frame this thing ki, what are the asana and which are the pranayam practices which are good to reduce stress, because first we need to understand the definitions of yoga, because the way we need to, before we start doing our BMS, the first year is all about how to understand dosh dhatu mala and how to understand swasthya and what is Ayurveda. Okay, so in the same way, the definition of one of the definition of yoga is, according to Yoga Vashishta, mana prashamanam upay yog iti abhidhyate. Means what? मन प्रशमन, शमन म्हणजे शांत करणे, मनाला शांत करायचा जो उपाय आहे त्याला योग म्हणतात. ओके, मग समजा उद्या तुम्हाला अर्धमत्स्येंद्रासन येत नाहीये, शीर्षासन येत नाहीये म्हणून स्ट्रेस जर येत असेल तर ते योगा नाहीच आहे, म्हणजे ती आसनं म्हणजे योगासन नाहीये. म्हणजे जरी एखाद्याला शीर्षासन करून स्ट्रेस रिलॅक्शन होत असेल ते त्याला होतंय, पण तुम्हाला ते शीर्षासन करून स्ट्रेस वाढतोय. सो इट्स नॉट समथिंग दॅट वर्क्स फॉर समवन इज नॉट नेसेसरली गोइंग टू वर्क फॉर एव्हरीवन. Okay, this is a very important thing that we have to understand, because somewhere even when I was a student and even now, yeah, we like to do things which are more convenient. त्यामुळे आपल्याला, मला तरी अजून पण ती फॉर्म्युला प्रॅक्टिस आवडायची. आता कारण त्यात जास्त काही खूप काही विचार करायचा नाहीये. This is the particular symptom, this disease, and you give this kind of medicines. Yeah, that's easy. And that's the same thing happens with yoga also. Okay, in these things you have to do this formula. पण ते तसं नाहीये, आयुष्य थोडंसं वेगळं असतं. And that's the reason we have doctors. Otherwise, all Ayurvedic medical store people would have been doctors, vaidyas. Yeah. And why should anyone learn for 6 years, 10 years, do BMS, MD and all these things? Is because you are being trained how to think if you have a particular situation. If you don't know the name of the disease, that's even fine. If you don't know what has been written in Samhita, there would not be a specific references of COVID virus, but still Ayurvedic Vaidyas are treating them. Why? Because they understand how the pathophysiology is, what is the mechanism of action of different Ayurvedic medicines in these kind of conditions. आणि म्हणून ते करू शकतात. So tasach, if you really want to get into yoga and experience these things, you have to understand and make our fundamentals very strong. And then you don't need any kind of external help like Googling, what is the yoga practices for backache and all these things. You yourself will understand what exactly are the changes are happening in backache or a specific particular person, because you're taking the case. And when you understand and the person, his lifestyle and everything, for that particular person, you will design that his specific yoga practices, that will be his yoga therapy. Okay. So the way yoga, Ayurveda is very personalized. The same is with yoga. So there would be many factors. Stress is the output, but why it is created. So that's understanding that is the key. And if you don't understand that, then what will happen is you are trying to put a band-aid to a tumor, and then you will keep on replacing it, doing the dressing, but one day it is going to explode. And then whenever the person goes to another surgeon, maybe an oncosurgeon, he's going to blame it on you. That happens. In the same way, in yoga practices also, you have to understand, go in the depths, and that is something which will be helping you in the long run. Just for example, stress, according to yoga, कुठल्या forms मध्ये का येऊ शकतो? There are some internal reasons, म्हणजे स्वतःच्या आतमध्येच आपल्या बिहेवियर, ॲटिट्यूड, विचार करायच्या पद्धतीमुळे स्ट्रेस होऊ शकतो. There are some other areas where stress can be created because of some external factors. Okay, external म्हणजे आजूबाजूच्या environment. And the basic idea of yoga itself is how to deal with stress. Because I will just tell you the story behind yoga, the creation of yoga. Now, though yoga is created 5,000 years back in very ancient and everything, the idea remained the same what it is today. The need also remains the same somewhat. Because even if we see today brothers fight each other with the property, the same thing happened many thousands years back, and that is what we know as Mahabharata and epic. So human beings, mostly the nature of humans have never changed. Okay, we are still cunning, we are still annoying, we are still selfish, we still have all these kind of negative traits जे 1000-2000 वर्षापूर्वी होते. आणि म्हणून त्या काळातल्या ज्या काही प्रॅक्टिसेस आहेत ज्याच्यामध्ये योग पण येतं, ते आजही आपल्याला खूप चांगला आपल्या आयुष्यामध्ये त्याचा उपयोग होताना दिसतो. कारण आपण फारसे काय बदललेलं नाहीये. Just because initially they used to have the pigeons sending the letters, आजकाल आपण व्हॉट्सअपवर मेसेज पाठवतो. तर त्यामुळे फक्त माध्यम बदललीत, पण फारसा आपल्यामध्ये काही बदल स्वभावामध्ये काही झालेलं नाही. सो द आयडिया वॉज दॅट ह्युमन बीइंग्स ऑलवेज ट्राय टू डॉमिनेट नेचर. म्हणजे परिस्थितीला कायम आपल्या कंट्रोलमध्ये कसं ठेवता येईल हे प्रत्येक माणसाला आवडतं. म्हणून लॉकडाऊन मध्ये आपल्याला आवडत नाही. कोविड का नाही आवडत आहे? कारण किती दिवस चालेल माहित नाही. सो वेनेवर यू हॅव दिस काइंड ऑफ इनसिक्युरिटी, यू आर व्हेरी मच रेस्टलेस. ओके, म्हणजे कामवाली बाई येईल का नाही अशी जेव्हा परिस्थिती असते, एव्हरीबडी इज रेस्टलेस. ओके, so this is, we never like this kind of insecurities, and that if it is, then we have stress. So for these stressful situations, all the intelligent and intellectual people of that point of time met at the foothills of Himalayas. मग आपल्याला हे वेगवेगळ्या परिषदा माहिती आहेत ज्या आयुर्वेदामध्ये पण घेतल्या गेल्या. सो तशी एक परिषद घेतली गेली, and the intellectuals had a brainstorming sessions that the more you are trying to control nature, it slips. Situations are slipping from your hand and you feel vulnerable, you get stressed up. So what can be done? So after days of debate, what they understood is, why aren't we changing our perspective towards the problem? Why we want to change the environment and control the situations? Because that's very challenging. Why not we go inside us and create a change in ourselves which can help us to adapt with the changing environment? And this thought process of, rather than changing the world, म्हणजे हजबंड वाईफ त्यांचा स्वभाव बदलणे, आई वडिलांचा स्वभाव बदलणे, टीचर्सचा स्वभाव बदलणे, कॉलेज आणि सिस्टमचा स्वभाव बदलणे, हे तर काही पॉसिबल नाहीये. पेशंटचा स्वभाव बदलणे पॉसिबल नाहीये. पण वाय नॉट आय चेंज माय ओन personality, attitude, behavior in such a way that I can adjust and adapt with every kind of different situations and environment. And this kind of idea, which later on grew and was flourished, today is called as yoga. So it's that deep kind of a philosophy. And that's the reason the superficial things that we understand is not definitely going to work when you have some complicated areas like insomnia, stress, and all these kind of things. The more you go deep and understand the person, his specific problems, you can really help the person. And I think yogic counseling is very more powerful than any other practices of yoga. Because after all, what is yoga according to Patanjali is chitta vritti nirodha. If you are not able to change the attitude and the mindset of your patient who is suffering from different diseases, then most of the time managing the disease is very challenging. And even that is being said in both of our acharyas, Sushruta and Sushir Samhita and Charak Samhita. Whether it's prasanna atma indriya manah, everywhere prasannata is important. That is, can attain through chitta vritti nirodha. And the other thing which is being said even by Charak Acharya, he said sukha saumyakam arogyam. what is bliss and happiness in life? It is health, a balanced state again. And what is disease? It's nothing but another form of unhappiness or any kind of worry. So that's how stress has been correlated and understood. And these different aspects of yoga will really help your patients to transform, get more, develop more control on their life situations, of looking towards their life problems in a different way, and attain peace and happiness. So without going much, I can, the time, every factor of this is very beautiful, very deep. Like for example, constant worry, chitta vritti, vritti are the important the thoughts that come into your mind. Not like all the thoughts in your mind coming in your mind are very important always. Yeah, there are a lot of jargon thoughts, unnecessary. तो मला काय म्हटला, मग तिची साडी जास्त चांगली होती आणि मग मला प्रमोशन कधी मिळणार. Anything and everything from the past and the future, which is actually not directly related with the present, all these things create a lot of stress inside you, and that are called as vrittis. And so in yoga, it is being told how to practice different aspects so that you can control these vrittis. How powerful are these vrittis? It's a udaharan. There is a book which is called as, this is a book which is called as Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcer. And कधी तुम्हाला हा प्रश्न पडला का की हे जे प्राणी आहेत आता ह्यांच्या आयुष्यातलं स्ट्रेस तर आपल्यापेक्षा किती जास्त आहे. म्हणजे एव्हरी डे इन द मॉर्निंग व्हेनेवर ऑफ आफ्रिका, व्हेनेवर द झीब्राज वेक अप, त्यांना हे माहित नाहीये की आज रात्री आपण जिवंत राहणार आहे का मरणार. विच टायगर, विच लायन विल ईट देम. सो दॅट इज द अमाऊंट ऑफ स्ट्रेस. एवढा स्ट्रेस तर आपल्याला तरी डेफिनेटली नाहीये, कोविड असून सुद्धा नाहीये की आज आपण राहू का आज आपण जाऊ. Okay, but even after having so much of stress in their life, in the life of zebra, he is very happy and he does not get any kind of problems like gastric ulcer, peptic ulcer and all these things. And that is what this bestseller, New York Times bestseller, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcer. कारण त्यांना माहिती आहे जेव्हा वाघ दिसला की पळायचं. बट त्यांना अजून एक गोष्ट माहिती आणि ते अप्लाय करतात की ज्यावेळेस वाघ दिसत नाहीये, वाघ नाहीये आपला पाठलाग करत, त्यावेळेस आपण थांबलं पाहिजे. The problem with humans is humans are that kind of animals की वाघ दिसला की जे पळायला सुरू करतात, की वाघ जरी दिसत नसेल तरी पण पळत राहतात. का? कारण त्यांना असं वाटतं की आता वाघ नाहीये पण नंतर येऊ शकतो, त्यामुळे पळतच राहतात कायम आयुष्यभर पळत राहतात. म्हणजे लहानपणी जे पळायला सुरू करतात मग ते म्हणतात की 10वीत चांगले मार्क मिळाल्यावर लाईफ सेटल, मग 12वीत चांगले मार्क मिळाल्यावर लाईफ सेटल, मग BMS केल्यावर लाईफ सेटल, मग MD केल्यावर लाईफ सेटल. पण ते लाईफ नंतर लग्न केल्यावर लाईफ सेटल, नंतर गाडी घेतल्यावर लाईफ. बट लाईफ तर कधी सेटल होतच नसतं कारण there's always something going on. So that's what a kind of a chase is going on. We don't know. And in this chase, the thing is, if you are enjoying the run, it's a different thing because you have Usain Bolt also, no? Usain Bolt is the one who has received more than 5-6 kind of gold medals. Any running race and he is the gold. So there was one of the reporter who asked him, what exactly goes in your mind before you start running in your Olympic? He says nothing. Yeah, I just enjoy, love to run. And I'm just excited की कधी ती गनचा आवाज येतो आणि मी पळतो. सो त्याला एवढा पळायचा आनंद आहे की तो फर्स्ट कधी येतो त्याला कळतच नाही. So that is what कर्मयोग is all about. He is not interested in what kind of medal he gets and all this. But the problem with us is, why do we have stress? I mean, आपल्याला एकच मेडल मिळतं, स्ट्रेस. आणि स्ट्रेसमुळे बरेचसे आजार. And we never get the gold medal. Why? Because we are not enjoying the running. And in fact, we get ulcers. So that is what I think we can learn. When to stop is something which is very important. And to stop, how to learn to stop is nothing but yoga. चित्त वृत्ती निरोध. निरोध म्हणजे थांबणे. काय थांबवायचंय? नको त्या गोष्टी ज्या चालू आहेत त्या थांबवणे हे खूप महत्वाचं आहे. आणि हे नुसतं हात वर केले, पाय खाली केले किंवा डोकं खाली केलं आणि पाय वर केले इतकं सोपं नाहीये. इट हॅज अ लॉट ऑफ थॉट प्रोसेस बिहाइंड इट. सो जे तुम्हाला दिसतंय, इव्हन लास्ट टाइम yesterday I saw you, जे तुम्हाला योगा हे दिसतंय ना, व्हॉट यू फाइंड इन योगा इज ओनली दिस मच. ओके, आपल्याला वाटतं की असं केल्याने माझं मन एकदम शांत होईल, पण इट इज नॉट. इट इज द आयडिया ऑफ योगा विच इज मोर पॉवरफुल देन द प्रॅक्टिसेस ऑफ योगा. सो we also have insomnia and all these things, but I just want to have more time for our practices. So I will just quickly wind up some of, there are many things. In fact, like I always feel 1 hour is very much insufficient, but still I hope with the kind of talk and conversation we are having, even though it's unilateral one way, definitely you might be getting an idea of what is yoga. I mean, You have beautiful aspects. Even Bhagavad Gita gives beautiful aspects. Yeah, whether it is samatvam yoga uchyate. Who is a real yogi? म्हणजे पहिला आल्यावरती पहिला येणं म्हणजे योगी नाहीये. समजा एखाद्या एक्झाम मध्ये पहिला येणं म्हणजे योगी नाहीये. योगी तो आहे की जो पहिला आल्यावरती बाकीचे लोक पण पहिले कसे येतील ह्याच्यासाठी मेहनत घेतो, तो खरा योगी. असं भगवद्गीतेमध्ये सांगितलंय. नॉट माय थिंग. सेकंड थिंग इज म्हणजे काय पहिलाच यायला पाहिजे का? असंही नाहीये. जो शेवटचा येऊन आपण नेक्स्ट टाइम पहिला कसा येता येईल ह्याच्याकडे लक्ष देतो, ही इज अ योगी. समत्वम योग उच्यते. पहिला आल्यावरती पण जो बॅलन्स राहतो, शेवटचा आल्यावरती पुढच्या वेळी पहिला कसा येतील ह्याच्यावरती लक्ष देऊन बॅलन्स राहतो, दॅट इज योगा. आज पेशंट नाही आले म्हणून रडत बसणारे लोक, आणि आज 100 पेशंट, एवढे सगळ्या पेशंट कशाला आले, मीच एकटा डॉक्टर आहे का, तर इतके पेशंट नको मला, असेही म्हणून चिडचिड करणारे जे लोक आहेत, बोथ आर द आयडियल पीपल हू नीड योगा प्रॅक्टिसेस. बिकॉज योगा इज not about doing things, but yoga is all about experiencing certain amount of things. So as far as the practices are concerned, what can you do? There are two important approaches. One is the conventional and non-conventional approach. So let's first understand the non-conventional approach. We have the yogic ahar and vichar. So the department would definitely focus more and can elaborate more on these things. But yes, yoga talks about classification of food into sattvic, rajasic and tamasic things. आता हे कसं करायचं, तर एक सोपीशी पद्धत आहे. Like for kids also, whenever we teach, what we teach is them, where we get the help of Ramayana. So the character of Ram is that gives you the idea of sattva. Ram, Hanuman, all these are sattvic characters. The character of Ravan gives you the idea of rajas, and the character of Kumbhakaran gives you the idea of tamas. So कोणत्या अशा गोष्टी खाल्ल्याने तुमच्या ज्या काही ऍक्टिव्हिटीज आहेत त्या राम हनुमान यांच्यासारख्या होतात आहे, किंवा तुमचे विचार राम आणि हनुमान यांच्यासारखे होतात आहे. कोणत्या गोष्टी केल्याने, कोणत्या गोष्टी खाल्ल्याने तुमच्या मनामध्ये तुम्ही रावणासारखे तुमचा बिहेवियर होतोय, आणि कोणत्या गोष्टी केल्याने तुम्ही एकदम सुस्त, एकदम आळशी, त्या कुंभकर्णासारख्या होतात. हे जर आपण खाऊन एक्सपेरिमेंट केले, and if you are honest to yourself, I think we are able to classify sattvic, rajasic, tamasic. Because in Bhagavad Gita also they give what to do, what not to do, and what are the different changes that you find when you are sattvic, eating sattvic food, rajasic food and tamasic food. पण बऱ्याच वेळा ते खूप डिटेलिंग मध्ये गेल्यावरती you just lose and miss the plot. So I think this is a basic thing, technique which you can yourself try and experiment. कारण सगळ्याच गोष्टी सात्विक, राजसिक, तामसिक मध्ये आपल्याला लिस्ट देता येणार नाही जगातल्या. Tomorrow if you go to Paris, tomorrow if you go to some other country, okay, समजा हुनुलुलु कुठं मध्ये गेला तर तिथे कुठले हे सात्विक आहे का राजसिक आहे कसं ओळखायचं, तर हे एक्सपेरिमेंट करून तुम्हाला ह्या गोष्टी ओळखू शकता तुम्ही. Next is all about the vichar, and as far as insomnia and all these things are concerned, again, yes, this is a beautiful aspect of Ayurveda that talks about through food you can really manage a lot of different conditions. So buffalo milk and all these things. You can even have a bath that we can see in Achar Vichar, a warm water bath in the evening. That can also be helpful. म्हणजे कफ वाढवणाऱ्या सगळ्या गोष्टी. In fact, that's what संध्याकाळी 6 ते 10 या वेळेमध्ये झोप ही सर्वात आयडियल आहे. कारण या वेळेत जर तुम्ही झोपलात तर झोप चांगली लागणार आहे. ऑल युअर बॉडी सिस्टम्स आर शटिंग डाऊन, डायजेशन अँड ऑल दिस थिंग. तर जनरली एकदम हेवी जेवण या काळामध्ये करू नये. ओके, ट्राय टू स्लीप बिफोर 10 o'clock. बिकॉज ऑफ दिस व्हॉट विल हॅपन इज वन्स यू द कफ दोषा ऑफ द डे will help you to get into the sleep, and then you will have a good night's sleep. मग त्याला फॅसिलिटेट करायला बाकीच्याही बऱ्याचशा गोष्टी आहेत की you can have a bath and increase the level of the kapha, and maybe you can have a little light dinner because of which your digestive systems are relaxed when they go into the sleep. पादाभ्यंग पण सांगितलेलं आहे. That also helps in giving a soothing sensation to your eyes, relaxes your mind. With the amount of thoughts in your mind going down, you feel more relaxed. That's the idea of meditation too. There are different aspects. बऱ्याच वेळा असं पण होतं की तुमचे विचार आहेत ना ते तुम्हाला झोप लागू देत नाही. म्हणजे समटाइम्स यू आर टू वरीड अबाउट द फ्युचर. कधी कधी असं असतं की त्या बॉसला तर कसं हँडल करायचं, त्या पेशंटच्या नातेवाईकांना कसं हँडल करायचं, किंवा आता एखादं काही पॉलिटिक्स आजूबाजूला जे होत असतं ते कसं हँडल करायचं, त्याच्यामुळे झोप लागत नाही. त्या लोकांच्या पासून दरवेळी आपण पळून नाही जाऊ शकत, किंवा वी आर नॉट लाईक दोज पीपल. लाईक एव्हरीबडी इज नॉट प्रिव्हिलेज टू बिकम अ हर्मिट, संन्यास. दरवेळी संन्यास घेऊन तुम्ही कैलास पर्वतावरती नाही जाऊ शकत. सो we all have to do our duties. So when you have to do your duties, you have to be in the society. आणि मग 4 लोक भेटणार. आपल्या मराठीमध्ये म्हटलं जातं 4 लोक भेटली ते 4 लोकांची 4 तोंड असतात. आणि that is exactly which is described in Yoga Sutra. that till you achieve, they say chittavritti nirodh tada drashtu swarupi avasthanam. When you will achieve chittavritti nirodh, when complete cessation of the thoughts happen, मनामध्ये विचारच नाही, अशा वेळी तुम्हाला तुम्ही कोण आहात हे व्यवस्थितपणे समजणार आहे आणि तुम्ही एकदम स्थिर होणार. पण तोपर्यंत काय, तर तोपर्यंत मनात विचार कायम राहणार असे ते म्हणतात. वृत्ती सारूप्यम इतरत्र, इतर वेळेला कायम मनात विचारच विचार. मग अशा वेळेला काय समाधी मिळेपर्यंत is it expected that everybody should be unhappy? So he's saying no. So what can we do? So in the Yoga Sutras, you find different techniques in which you can help yourself to be more calm and relaxed. One of the beautiful technique is called as Chitta Prasad. Chitta म्हणजे मन, प्रसाद मंदिरामध्ये गेल्यावर प्रसाद मिळतो. प्रसाद खाल्ल्यावरती काय होतं, तुम्ही खुश होता. म्हणून जे खाल्ल्याने तुम्ही खुश होता त्याला म्हणतात प्रसाद. सो आता हे कोणता प्रसाद आहे, हा ज्ञानाचा प्रसाद आहे. ओके, सो ज्ञान म्हणू शकता, काय ऍक्टिव्हिटीज म्हणू शकता. एखादा आसन केल्याने तुम्हाला जर छान वाटत असेल तर ते चित्त प्रसादन. म्हणून आसनांची व्याख्या केली आहे स्थिरम सुखम आसनम. त्यामुळे त्यातला सुखाचा जो भाग आहे तो जर तुम्हाला त्याच गोष्टी करून जर मिळत नसेल तर त्याला आसन कसं म्हणता येईल. दॅट इज अन इम्पॉर्टंट थिंग. whenever you feel people want you to do something, some asana or something, and you are not in that kind of shape, age and all these things, तुम्हाला असं वाटतं की ते केल्याने तुम्हाला त्रासच होतोय, तर it's important whatever you do, you can be in sukhasana, you can be in shavasana and achieve the highest state of liberation. You can be a yogi without even practicing asanas. आणि म्हणूनच तुम्हाला स्वामी विवेकानंद कधीही नवली करताना फोटो त्यांचा दिसणार नाही. स्वामी विवेकानंद everybody knows is the greatest yogi, but you never see him doing Shirshasana and there's no photo of him doing any kind of all these kind of practices. But that doesn't mean all these are not useful. But the only point I want to make is there are different paths, different ways in which you can experience yoga. And yoga is a state which I think the path might be physical initially, but ultimately it is more mental and spiritual in the later aspects. So if you directly go into the mental and later spiritual aspects, if you feel you are that capable, you are always welcome. But otherwise, you can go with a step-by-step approach of initially Hatha Yoga and then into Raja Yoga. Yeah. So in this aspects of Raja Yoga, what they talk about is, it's a very powerful concept. What they say is की तुमच्या आजूबाजूला नेहमीच लोक असणार. आता तुम्हाला फक्त काय करायचंय की हे चार तोंड जे आहेत, चार लोक जे आहेत ते कुठल्या टाईपचे आहेत हे क्लासिफाय करायचं. Once you are able to understand हे कोणत्या चार पैकी आहे, he has given you a secret tip of how exactly you have to deal with it. कधी कधी याचं परम्युटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन पण असू शकतो. प्रत्येक व्यक्ती जसं आपण प्रकृतीमध्ये बघतो फक्त वातच, फक्त पित्त, फक्त कफ असं नसतं. कधी कधी मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम इट इज लाईक 2-3 थिंग्स कमिंग टुगेदर. त्याच्यामध्ये वाताचे पण काही गुण असतात, पण त्याच्यामध्ये प्रधान काय आहे आपण ते बघतो. सो इन दिस वे देर आर 4 काइंड ऑफ पीपल. द फर्स्ट काइंड ऑफ कॅटेगरी ऑफ पीपल इज पीपल हु आर हॅपी, जे लोक खुश आहेत. द प्रॉब्लेम विथ दिस काइंड ऑफ पीपल इज की आपण अशा लोकांपासून बऱ्याच वेळा लांब पळायला बघतो जे लोक खुश आहेत. कारण बऱ्याच वेळा खुश लोक जे असतात ते सक्सेसफुल पण असतात आणि वी गेट इंटिमिडेटेड विथ देअर हॅपीनेस अँड विथ देअर सक्सेस. म्हणजे एखाद्याकडे समजा एखाद्याने खूप जास्त प्रगती, बऱ्याच वेळा तर हे वी कॅन फाइंड दीज थिंग्स विथ रियुनियन. बरेच लोक रियुनियनला का जात नाही, कारण त्यांना असं वाटतं की यांनी खूप प्रगती केली आणि ते आता हे जे यांना काय मार्क एवढे कमी पडायचे, हे लोक एवढे पुढे गेले आणि आपण एवढे टॉपर असून आपलं काय नाही झालं, म्हणून काही लोक रियुनियनला जात नाही. So that is what exactly what Patanjali ji is trying to talk about. For those who are happy people, it's very important that rather than running away from them, rather than being jealous of them, it's very important we develop friendship. त्यांच्या बरोबर तुम्ही जास्तीत जास्त मैत्री करायचा प्रयत्न करा. दिस इज फर्स्ट कॅटेगरी, जे खुश आहेत, जे सक्सेसफुल आहेत. द सेकंड काइंड ऑफ कॅटेगरी इज दुखी. दुखी कोण दुखी आहे? पर्सन हु इज फेल्ड, पर्सन हु इज इन मिझरी, पर्सन हु इज सफरिंग. आता बऱ्याच वेळा काय होतं की ज्या लोकांना काहीतरी, पीपल हु हॅव फेल्ड, वी गो टू देम अँड वी ट्राय टू शो आवर सिम्पथी. अरे रे बिचारा खूप वाईट झालं, अशी सिम्पथी दाखवलं. कुणालाही अशी सिम्पथी आवडत नाही. तुम्हालाही जर तुम्ही लागला पडला आणि कोणी तुम्हाला असं काही म्हणायला आलं तर तुम्हाला ते आवडणार नाही. सो डोंट ट्राय टू शो सिम्पथी. व्हॉट पतंजली इज सेइंग इज ट्राय टू बी कंपॅशनेट विथ देम. कंपॅशन म्हणजे काय? ठीक आहे, तो पडला, तो समजा तो पडलाय तर तो कशा प्रकारे उठू शकतो ह्याचा तुमच्याकडे काय उपाय आहे का? समजा तो फेल झालाय तर तो पुढच्या वेळी कसा पास होऊ शकतो ह्याचा तुमच्याकडे काय उपाय आहे का? असेल तर त्याकडे जा आणि ते सांगायचा प्रयत्न करा. सो दॅट इज कंपॅशन. The third category of people that we find around is people who are happy. People who are doing good things. पुण्य त्याला म्हटलेलं आहे. Okay. तर पुण्य कॅटेगरी जे चांगले लोक आहेत, जे चांगले काम करतात, बऱ्याच वेळा असं होतं की यू टेक दिस थिंग फॉर ग्रांटेड, त्यात काय विशेष, त्याला काहीतरी त्याच्यात मिळत असेल म्हणून तो करतोय. बट दिस इज अ रॉंग अप्रोच. Patanjali ji is saying is try to have mudita, means try to be happy for every small thing that people are doing around. कारण चांगलं काम करणारे लोक एकतर मुळात दुर्मिळ आहेत, दे आर एंडेंजर्ड स्पीशीज, खूप रेअर जाती आहे त्यांची प्रजाती. सो जर तुम्ही त्यांचं कौतुक नाही करणार तर तुम्ही त्यांनी काही चांगलं काम केल्यावर चांगलं केलं असं म्हणणार पण नाही, फॉरगेट अबाउट गिव्हिंग देम समथिंग, चांगलं म्हणणार पण नाही, तर हळूहळू त्यांची प्रजाती खूप लुप्त होऊन जाईल. अँड देन दॅट इज अ व्हेरी डेंजरस सिच्युएशन फॉर द वर्ल्ड. स्ट्रेस मॅनेजमेंट मग अवघडच होऊन जाईल खरंच. So try to see to it that you appreciate these kind of people. And the last kind of category is people who are very bad, who are very egoistic, people who intentionally try to pull you down. मी ते खेकड्याची स्टोरी ऐकली असेल. एकदा स्वामी विवेकानंद ते एका जहाजातून जात असतात आणि बोटीमध्ये ते त्या माशांनी खेकडे पकडलेले असतात आणि एवढे मोठे नांगी असलेले खेकडे त्यांनी ओपन मध्ये त्या बादलीमध्ये ठेवलेले असतात. तर मग विवेकानंदजी विचारतात, तू ह्याचं झाकण पण लावलं नाही, ते तुला बाहेर येऊन तुलाच ते चावतील. ते म्हणतात मला कॉन्फिडन्स आहे, ते काही बाहेर येऊ नाही शकत पूर्ण आपला प्रवास होईपर्यंत. नंतर कसं काय, कारण प्रत्येक खेकडा जेव्हा वरती यायला लागतो तेव्हा खालचा खेकडा त्याला खाली ओढतो. सो असे काहीतरी लोक असतात आपल्याही आजूबाजूला असतात असे जे खाली ओढणारे. सो दे आर पापी, दे आर द काइंड ऑफ इव्हिल पीपल अराउंड अस हु आर ऑलवेज देअर. देअर ओनली जॉब इन द लाईफ इज टू पुल यू डाऊन. जो कोणी प्रगती करेल त्याला खाली ओढायचं, असे काही लोक असतात. सो त्याला मग काय करायचं, असे लोक दिसले की आपण त्यांना हुशारी शहाणपणा शिकवायला जातो. वी ट्राय टू एज्युकेट देम, मेक देम चेंज. पण ते करू नका, कारण तुम्हीच अजून स्टुडंट आहात. सो यू युअरसेल्फ हॅव डिफरंट गोल्स टू बी अचीव्ड इन युअर लाईफ. इफ यू ट्राय टू डू दॅट, बऱ्याच वेळा असं होतं की एखाद्याला व्यसन सोडायला गेलेला माणूस तो स्वतःच व्यसनामध्ये जातो. म्हणजे असे फ्रेंड सर्कल त्यांचे असतात की फ्रेंड्सला सोडायला गेले आणि तोच बिघडून गेला. So that happens a lot of times, and for that you need a very strong will to change these people. So the better path what Patanjali ji has advised is try to ignore these people, and he uses the word upekshanam. उपेक्षा भाव ठेवा, म्हणजे तुम्ही तुमची प्रगती करत राहा. 5 वर्षानंतर 10 वर्षानंतर तुमची प्रगती बघून they themselves will be very much motivated to come back, and they themselves will be very much motivated to see the path that you have chosen. And one day they will leave their path of pulling people down, doing negative things, and they will follow your path of goodness. Okay. So that's the idea of yoga, which is very deep and beautiful. And I think when you talk with people who are under stress, suffering, and very much negative, it creates a very positive amount of change. So whenever you are giving instruction for taking asanas or pranayam practices, it's very important that you talk to them and understand their pain points, where it will be helpful for everyone. Okay. So that was the mental aspects, the yogic counseling part, which is important for stress management and for insomnia patients. As we have seen, the vihar, achar, and vyavahar, which includes the dinacharya, rutucharya pattern, as far as your activities are concerned, different practices can help you in reducing the problems of stress and insomnia. And as far as work-life balance is concerned, if that is introduced through vyavahar, where you integrate the practices of physical practices of yoga, you will see what are the physical practices of yoga that can be helpful in reducing stress. So the conventional approach talks about how mind-based stress reduction techniques are very much effective. It has been integrated. Now the image that you find over here is that of Matsya Kridasan. Most of the time from pregnancy to various kind of disorders, we use this. It's in sync with the Brahmari Pranayam practices and different kind of Omkar chanting that we use, which has a beautiful amount of results. People especially who have insomnia problem because of depression, they can definitely practice Surya Namaskar, because a lot of things can be learned from sun. So when you meditate on it, it's not only necessary that you just do some kind of practices, but in fact you try to understand. कारण सूर्य नमस्कार करताना त्याच्यामध्ये मंत्र पण आहेत आणि प्रत्येक मंत्राचा खूप डीप अर्थ आहे. म्हणजे इतकं की आय मीन त्या अर्थ जर समजून घेऊन ते आसन केलं, सूर्यनमस्काराचा एक राऊंड जरी केला तरी तुमच्यामध्ये खूप चेंज ड्रास्टिकली जाणवतो. Forget about doing 12 or 108 and all these things. But the thing is, there are some people who are in a race again. They are more interested in how they can put that they have done 108 sun salutation on Facebook than experiencing something from Surya Namaskar. So that all depends on what kind of a mindset and approach you have. So if you really want to experience these things, you can just observe. That's the reason even Tratak is the same kind of a practice. Tratak मध्ये तुम्ही जसं ज्योती त्राटक करता, you can meditate on a rising sunrise and sunset also. What does that teaches you? उदेती सविता ताम्र एक श्लोक आहे. म्हणजे सनराइज जेव्हा होत असतो तेव्हा रंग कसा असतो सूर्याचा? ताम्र, ऑरेंज. सनसेट जेव्हा होत असतो तेव्हा रंग कसा असतो? ऑरेंज. ओके, व्हॉट इज दॅट वी कॅन लर्न फ्रॉम दिस. म्हणजे तेव्हा तुम्ही सक्सेसच्या पीक वरती जात आहे तेव्हाही तुम्ही तेवढे स्थिर आहात. ज्यावेळेस तुम्ही तुमचा अंत होतोय त्या काळातही तुम्ही तेवढे स्थिर आहात. ज्यावेळेस तुम्हाला दुखणी आहेत, ज्यावेळेस तुम्हाला आजारपण येते, ज्यावेळेस तुम्ही आयुष्यामध्ये फेल होत आहे, त्यावेळी सूर्य तितका शांत आहे. ही इज मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन गिव्हिंग यू लाईट, गिव्हिंग यू पॉझिटिव्हिटी. सनराईज बघायला पण लोकांना आनंद येतो, सनसेट बघायलाही लोकांना आनंद येतो. तर आपल्या अस्तित्वाने आपण आजूबाजूच्या लोकांना काय आनंद देऊ शकतो हे सूर्यनमस्कार मधून आपण ऍक्च्युली शिकतोय. आता शिकतोय, करत असताना शिकतोय का नाही हा प्रश्न आपण वी हॅव टू इंट्रोस्पेक्ट अँड अकॉर्डिंगली यू हॅव टू डेव्हलप युअर प्रॅक्टिस. आणि म्हणून योगा प्रॅक्टिस इज not how many asanas you are able to do or how many sun salutations you do, but it is more what is the transformation and the change that is happening in you, in your physical level, in your mental level, emotional level, social level, spiritual level. आणि हा जर बदल होत असेल then you are moving ahead. जर नसेल होत then it is time to introspect and accordingly introduce the change. So these are different asanas, especially for stress management. I've chosen them. You can practice Sarvangasana. Shavasana is very, very powerful. Makarasana is also very important. Relaxation asanas are very, very important. Along with that, Matsyasana is there. Then you have Sarvangasana, Dhanurasana. Dhanurasana works on the spine. You have, again, Matsyasana and Siddhasana work on the thyroid gland, helping in restoring the HPA axis. You have the Supta Bhadrasana, Ushtrasana. You have Bhujangasana, Pavan Muktasana, Upavishta Konasana. So all these are different asanas in the supine, prone and sitting position which are considered to be helpful. The same goes with the Brahmari pranayam, the Nadi Shodhan, that is Anulom Vilom, the balancing kind of pranayam. Those who are very hyperactive Pitta Prakriti can go for the cooling pranayam practices also. At the end of the session, you have mantras, mantra, japa, very beautiful and very powerful techniques. What are they? Even if you try to understand the meaning of each of these, I think stress management is done there itself. Like मंत्र, मननात त्रायते इति मंत्र. व्हॉट इज मंत्र? जे आपण काही इतके सारे मंत्र म्हणतो, पण का म्हणतोय? त्याच्याने होतंय काय? ज्या ज्या गोष्टी बोलल्याने, ज्या गोष्टींचं उच्चारण किंवा ऐकल्याने तुमच्या मनामध्ये शांतता आणि स्थैर्य निर्माण होतंय. ऑल दीज आर मंत्रज. मग आता तोच मंत्र म्हणायचं म्हणजे कंपल्सरी म्हणा, अरे बाबा 5 वेळा म्हणायलाच पाहिजे. सो असं करून जे मंत्र म्हटले जातात, दॅट इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी कॉल्ड एज मंत्र, इवन इफ यू आर सेइंग द सेम थिंग. Yeah. So what kind of bhav you have, how mindfully you are doing these things, it's very important. That again you have the practice of meditation, dhyana. Tatra pratyay ekatanta dhyanam. जी काही गोष्ट करतोय, म्हणजे मग मी पेंटिंग करत असेल, मी पेशंट बघत असेल, मी योगामध्ये समजा मी शीर्षासन करतोय किंवा मी भ्रामरी प्राणायाम करतोय, माझं मन आणि भ्रामरी एक झालेत का? मी आणि ते पेंटिंग एक झाले का? मी आणि पेशंट एक झालोय का? The stage when you have this oneness been established, yoga union, okay, that is meditation and not just closing your eyes. जे बसून डोळे बंद केले म्हणजे meditation. It's a very basic concept. Meditation is far more beautiful than that. आणि हे जोपर्यंत तुम्ही लोकांना शिकवत नाही, सांगत नाही, बोलत नाही, चर्चा होत नाही, तोपर्यंत मेडिटेशन म्हणजे डोळे बंद करा, मेडिटेशन. अँड नोबडी कॅन टेल इफ यू आर डुईंग इट ऑर नॉट, बिकॉज मेडिटेशन कॅनॉट बी डन. अंतरंग योग हा करता येत नाही, अंतरंग योग तुमच्यामध्ये होतो. सो इट्स लाईक समथिंग व्हेरी डीप लाईक लव्ह. यू कॅनॉट डू इट.
Hello? Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Hello, sir? Hello? Hello, sir? Your voice is not audible, sir. Hello? Hello? Hello, sir. Hello.
Because the time is ended, and welcome back is because we are now going to have a small practical. If you have time, actually I have exceeded my time, but if you can spare 10 minutes, we can have a small session for a small meditation session followed by Om chanting, and then we will end the session. Okay. So shall we go ahead with this?
Yes, sir.
Oh. So make yourself comfortable with your back straight. If you want, you can be in Shavasana in the supine position, or you can sit in any meditative position. Close down your eyes, hands in Dhyana Mudra or any comfortable mudra that you feel like. Focus your mind, the tip of your nose, on the breaths. Feel the gentle sound of the singing bowl. Try to integrate yourself with the higher dimension of Naga. Slow and deep breathing. Deep inhalation followed by deep exhalation.
Okay. So, thank you. Sorry. हाँ मैं वो ट्राई कर रही थी इमीडिएटली कनेक्ट करने का बट वो कनेक्ट नहीं हुआ शायद से मीटिंग एंड हो गई इसलिए कनेक्ट नहीं हो पाया हाँ इसलिए नहीं कर पाई वापस ओके चलिए
Try to focus your mind completely at the tip of your nose on your breaths.
ओके थैंक यू सर जी आपने चांस किया है ओके थैंक यू सो मच
Feel the relaxation throughout your body. The relaxation from your toes, sole, ankle, and up. With each breath, try to feel the calmness in your mind, a state of balance in the success and failures situations of life. Deep relaxation throughout your calves, knee ligaments, thighs and up. Inhale and exhale. Complete relaxation throughout your bladder, intestines, low back, your spine. Feel the relaxation throughout your liver, spleen, pancreas, and deep relaxation throughout your lungs. Feel the pumping of the heart. The flow of blood moving throughout your body, from the shoulders down to your arms, elbows, forearm, arms, up to the tip of your fingers. Complete relaxation throughout your neck muscles, all your spinal muscles, your neck, your ears, chin, cheeks, lips, nostrils, eyes, eyelids, eyelashes, forehead, root of the hair to the tip of the head. When you're completely relaxed, feel the enthusiasm and the energy in every cell of your body. Feel the calmness, the patience, and the self-discipline inside you. Try to be detached from unnecessary evil habits of yours and try to accept the newer dimensions of life. When you feel completely calm and balanced and light, and all the stress of the life is gone, with new perspective, slowly and gently, slightly move the tip of your finger, moving the tip of your toes. Slowly and gently, if you are in Shavasana, sit on the mat in comfortable pose. If you are in the sitting position, gently fold your palms in Namaste Mudra. Deep inhalation. We end the session with a peace prayer. Inhale. Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvina Vadhitamastu Visham Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gently rub your palms. Place your warm palms on your eyes. Slowly open your eyes and close palms and relax. Take your warm palms down. Namaste. Bow to the divine you, divine in me. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the session. See you all again soon in the next week. Till then, namaste. Thank you, madam. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Manjusha ji.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the wonderful and very elaborate lecture. Now the session is open for the question and answers. Students can ask questions if they have any. कोणाला प्रश्न विचारायचे असेल तर विचारू शकता. हां बोल.
हाँ सर. Hello.
Hello, yeah,
Hello.
please.
हां बोल.
Sir, what are the warning sign of stress? I mean, related to cardiac system. Everyone react to stress differently. I mean, it can depend on your personality and how you respond.